see if I can turn this up. There we go. I think it is on. If you're watching on repeat, then make sure that you put in hashtag repeat as well, so that I have an idea of how many people watched it. And the more people who engage, the more people are going to be informed that this video is here. And why am I talking about this? Well, because it's always nice to have something to celebrate. In Scandinavia, we do a lot of celebrations. Hi Tina, thanks for waving. We do a lot of celebrations, and some people say it's a way of getting through the dark winters, but our celebrations also very much go throughout the year and always contain an element of nature as well. And hopefully this will inspire you to maybe have another celebration like it yourself. This one involves bonfires, and Scandinavians are known to really love their bonfires. This one also very much. So the way the tradition is celebrated is very different, okay? But basically on the 30th of April, it's the end of April, and it's marked with Walpurgis or Valborg, depending on where you are. And in Germany, it's I'm not quite sure actually how it's pronounced, Walpurgis Nacht, which would be then the night of Walpurgis, which is a saint. But I want to talk more about the celebration. I'll talk about the origins as well. So it's a night of celebration on the 30th, and then on the 1st of May you've got May Day all across Sweden and Denmark. Not actually sure about Norway on this one, but I think they might have it as well, where it's normally it's half or a full day off for people, so it's like a public holiday, and it means that the celebration on the 30th of April can sometimes last all night, especially for the younger people. Now in Sweden, this tradition is the biggest when we look at Scandinavia, and people gather in local parks around bonfires. They sing songs, there's food and drink, and the biggest one is in Stockholm, but in Uppsala, which is another big town, I know that they've had like 100,000 people, or nearly 100,000 people at some of these events and these celebrations. Obviously this year, because COVID is still very much around, it's probably going to be a tiny bit different. But nevertheless, it's a celebration. It's a community celebration, so not a family celebration. It's one where the whole community comes together, and it's a celebration that summer is coming, and I hope you can feel that as well where you are. Where I am today, it's very hot. I just realized how red I actually am, but it's really lovely and glorious and sunny here at the moment. And basically the bonfires are lit at dusk, where you still have, like, you know, some of the warmth from the sun, but as soon as the sun goes this time of year in the spring, we know it gets really cold, so people gather around the bonfires, and there is a strong tradition for communal singing, so you like sing different songs together. Normally there's like little sheets of paper that people hand out, so if you can't remember the words, it's not the end of it. And especially in Sweden, nettle soup, so stingy nettle soup basically, is also often served. And stingy nettles are obviously a weed that comes up as soon as the snow melts. They will start growing, and to make a really good stingy nettle soup, it's always best to have like the youngest and the freshest leaves. They're very high in iron, so they're very healthy for you. But if you are going to forage, then make sure you know that they are grown somewhere where they haven't been sprayed or anything. I think it would show if they were. But yeah, if you do go forage for them, make sure you know what you're picking. Hi Tina, nice you could make it live. So it's in Denmark, I should just say, the tradition is normally not quite the same. We have got Valborgs evening, or Valborgs Aften, as it will be called in Danish. But it's not quite the same celebration. Now, our biggest celebration is normally at midsummer, and that also involves a big bonfire. But that's a different live talk altogether. So Valborgs Eve or Walpurgis is the celebration of summer. It's like a little taste of the long summer evenings, if you like. And also it's traditionally from old heathen times, it is the time to ward off evil. So it's on many different levels, you can say this. So if go back historically, actually around the 30th of April is where a lot of animals will be be let out to graze. So we know that all the way back to around the 17th century, people would start lighting big fires to make sure that they would scare away any predators. So that was a way, obviously, of keeping your livestock safe, or as safe as it possibly could, as they were let out. But especially because this tradition has a lot of roots in German folklore as well, where witches are very prominent. It's also become associated with sending the evil away, and kind of chasing the witches away. In Germany, also Walpurgis, Walpurgis night, is sometimes referred to as the witches' night. So the night where the evil should be most prominent. And it's actually quite funny because there is this connection to a saint as well, which I'll mention in a minute. But also the churches were actually trying to put a ban on these fires, because they thought that they went against Christian beliefs. So let's go back to talk about where actually the tradition comes from. So there's a lot of elements to it. So as with a lot of Scandinavian traditions, they have a mix of Christianity and heathen and folklore, and then there's like modern community traditions in there as well. So the name Valpurgis is actually from an English princess and missionary, a nun who died in 779. She was declared a saint or canonized on the 1st of May 870. Now she was celebrated, and she still is, I believe, especially in Germany, for having battled the plague, whooping cough, rabies, and she also was trying to put a stop to witchcraft. So that's why it's actually called Valpurgis. But funny enough, there are still all these links into other traditions as well, because they were long established even before 870. So the central element of, I think, the kind of the older traditions is that the fires that you light, the bonfires that you light to celebrate that summer is on its way, it would normally be light with what's known as wildfire. So or pure fire, original fire, if you like. So basically fire you make by rubbing wood together. So it couldn't just be convenient fire. It has to be kind of the old traditional way of making the fire, and then that would have the power to ward off the evil spirits. And also in the Middle Ages, actually, the administrative year would finish on the 30th of April. So lots of merchants and so on would be celebrating on this day of the year. And this celebration would often include food and drink, singing and dancing, and This also spread into other parts of the community, but I mean, the farmers were already sending the animals out to graze around this time of year, and then they would normally also have gatherings where they would be eating and drinking and being merry, celebrating the fact that the warmth, the sun is here, and summer is just around the corner. So we know that from around the 17th century, the bonfires were used to scare the predators away. Other traditions that kind of been linked into it has also been, especially in Sweden, that the young men would take twigs from nature, and they would kind of decorate houses with them, celebrating spring, and as a thank you in return they would get foods, typically eggs, and other things as a present, as a thank you for their help to kind of bring the celebration of spring and the upcoming summer into people's houses, onto people's houses. And also, in some places, they would jump through the fires. So these young men, especially, I think, was that mid-Sweden? I don't know if they still do it, but there's been like traditions where young men would kind of jump through the fire to kind of obviously show off, but also to clear themselves of all evil. Let me just go, oh, hello, sorry. I have to scroll down again today to kind of look at the comments. So yeah, let me know that you're there. If you've got any questions, then please let me know. So another excuse for people in Scandinavia to light a bonfire and to celebrate nature and the turning of the annual nature wheel, if you like. And also to kind of get together and to celebrate. So there's always been a very strong community feel in Walpurgis. So, and again, this goes back to ancient times, to kind of people have gotten over the winter and the coldness, and now it's time to kind of get out. It's more possible now that the snow has melted, to kind of get out into your community and to do things together. And especially still in Sweden, a lot of the young people really take this a step further, and it becomes a very big celebration. Midsummer is a different thing, but also the 30th of April, Valborgs, is also the time where some places start raising their maypoles, which is also obviously a celebration of spring. I'll do another live talk about maypoles. They are still used in Sweden as well, and very popular, although you don't really see them in Denmark or Norway, but there are all sorts of celebrations that then take place later on, but already now the maypoles may be erected on the 30th. So Valpurgis, for me, or Valborg as it's called in Danish, is another excuse to kind of celebrate where we are. Okay, so the more I'm kind of looking at some of the nature and the history, the more it strikes me that they are all markers. You know, they are like milestones. We all love traditions because it gives us a framework, and it gives us something to look forward to, and it gives us something to celebrate. And I think there's always worth to have something to celebrate. In matter of fact, we should celebrate every day that we're here, and you know, that we're here, we can do what we can do. And especially, you know, for me and my family, I think tonight is going to be very much a celebration of the fact that spring has seriously taken hold. There's not going to be any more snow. We don't think. We did have snow not too many weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago to be exact. I know that because that was the 12th of April. I've got a video of it still. So it's a celebration that where we are, and it's always good to have something to celebrate. I'm just going to check out the comments because I thought there's something come through. Never thought that there might be a backstory to bonfire. Oh yes, yes. Yeah, you love them. They are usually part of celebrations of family. Yes, exactly. And that's how bonfires have very much been used and still are used throughout Scandinavia. Oh, Alma Mater has a maypole celebration every year. That's really cool. Yes. What I really love about the US is that you have so many traditions because they've come with people as they've immigrated and settled in the US. And I really love that. I love the maypole tradition. I'm actually a bit sad that it doesn't exist in Denmark as such. We then have some other traditions as well. That's school. Okay, thank you, Tina. Alma mater. Yes, but yeah, then we have other traditions. But and it's what I really like about the Valborg is the Valborg tradition, or the Walpurgis tradition, is that it's so different depending on where you are. And it's like I say, it's really celebrated in Sweden. You do have it a bit in Denmark, and you have it especially in Germany. In Germany, it's very popular. You have it throughout the Baltic countries as well. Although I don't know how much is still celebrated. You have it down through Slovenia, Czech Republic, and all of those countries. So kind of more like Central Europe, I guess, that are all celebrating it. But it's quite funny because with a lot of these celebrations, we often forget where they come from. And so as I said, this tradition is this mixture of Christianity, so with the canonization of the Valpurgis, the nun, the English nun, who I believe was actually in France, but anyway, and then you have like the older traditions that actually come from way before Christianity, where there was this whole celebration, obviously, that very much tied in with nature. And bonfires, definitely a big part of it, and still are in Scandinavia. I think they've grown more popular actually also recent years, especially here in England, I've noticed in this last year, because obviously with the pandemic people haven't been able to go inside. So people have had to meet in gardens, socially distanced, and then you have that fire and you have this community spirit. Now, I will say in my family, and I think in many families in Scandinavia, a lot of the bonfire is like a thing you would do with a family. And I'll share some insights about that in some other lives as well. But where you're basically cooking, in the fire, you're having like a celebration in the evening as a family, gathering around. But it can obviously also involve friends. There's something meditative about sitting around a fire as well. Always make sure you are not in the direction of the wind. My 5-year-old has learned that now. Okay, so let me know if you've got any questions. Otherwise, I hope that you have maybe a lovely evening with a bonfire on the 30th of April. If you need an excuse for that, you can obviously say that it's Valpurgis or Valborgs evening. And yes, celebrate the fact that summer is just around the corner. Spring is really taking hold, and the evenings are getting even lighter here in the northern hemisphere, and yeah, all across Scandinavia, and also where you are, depending on where you live. Have a lovely day, week, and a lovely Valpurgis on the 30th of April. Take care. Bye.